Okay, everybody, now it's time to talk about Sebastian Kurtz. The world's youngest world leader of an entire nation. Only 31 years old. An inspiration, truly. God, he must be some kind of crazy workaholic or overachiever, right? You'd think. God, here in America, we never see a president that young. Not ever. That's crazy. But Sebastian Kurtz has officially closed 7 mosques and has deported extremist imams back to their homeland, and has announced that he will be transforming the country's migrant centers into, as he put it, departure centers. Keeping up with trends set in place by Denmark, obviously. They kind of led the way for this sort of thing. 7 mosques. I suppose it doesn't really sound like that many, but when you consider the demographic are mostly migrants, you might consider that to be actually quite a lot. However, this is not to say that Austria will be sending away all asylum seekers or immigrants. The center's new task will simply be to advise all visitors to return to their own country and on how they may do so safely and efficiently. They will also be screening all new asylum seekers, which they should have been doing in the first place, for criminal history, criminal intent, blah blah blah. Herbert Kickl, that's quite the name. I'm not even sure I'm saying that right. It says a Kickl. To my American sensibilities, that's Kickl. Anyway, Herbert Kickl is Sebastian Kurtz's interior minister, and he basically said that concerning this matter, we will study the trip routes of newcomers and, of course, predict the potential threat from them, cooperating with the police and, when necessary, with experts from the regional and federal agencies for the protection of the Constitution, the fight against terrorism. Herbert Kickl has also mentioned that the true purpose of the new departure centers is really to discourage asylum seekers, as I said earlier. It's obvious that they have seen what's happened to the rest of Europe and simply want nothing to do with it. I mean, you saw what happened to Germany, you saw what happened to France, and you want no part of it? Well, that just means you're smart, dude. You're with it. That's just wisdom right there. But in fact, Sebastian Kurtz has stated concerning Islam, parallel societies, politicized Islam, or radical tendencies have no place in our country. In response to what multiculturalism has done to Western Europe recently, in short, you are going to Austria to become Austrian, plain and simple. That last bit was not him, that was me. That's what I'm saying his statement really boils down to, is, in short, you are going to Austria to become Austrian. And that's all there is to it. And like I said, Denmark is the one that really started this trend in the first place. And it's been kind of growing since then. Dr. Pepper, chilled with ice. But, it's pretty clear that Sebastian Kurtz's government is aimed squarely at the idea of regulating Islam, preventing it from becoming its own separate society within a society, literally just like everywhere else. This law against Islam, in Kurtz's own words, is meant to prevent thinking of oneself as a pious Muslim and proud Austrian citizen at the same time. Which on the surface sounds like a violation of individual rights, and the freedom of religion, but really, Muslim values and Austrian values are just not compatible, period. And that incompatibility of values is going to cause conflict, inevitably. Excuse me. So I totally understand where he's coming from on this. I get it. He's not telling them to not be Muslims. He's just saying that, if you want to come to be Austria, you're going to have to leave Islam behind. If you want to still be a Muslim, fine, but you can't come here. This is our country. Go home. And he has every right to say that. Every right. 2 imams have already been deported, and 60 more are being investigated. Austria is planning an exit from the EU, probably for good. Sebastian Kurtz won the Austrian election at just 31 years of age, like I said earlier, making him the youngest world leader anywhere. He has basically promised to ignore the EU's globalist policy and vows to destroy the New World Order. What is it with these world leaders believing in secret deep states and New World Orders and Illuminatis all over the place? I mean, where's the fucking evidence for it? Where? Show me! Show me the evidence! It's like, oh, well, such a group could just, destroy all the evidence. Really, destroy all the evidence. To preclude that a group could be so perfectly invisible and destroy all the evidence of existence down to the last atomic particle would be to preclude the idea that they are perfect. Nobody's that perfect. Something always falls through the cracks somewhere. I mean, if that's what you think, then you're just believing in it simply because you want to. That's like literally blind faith, and that's just stupid. You're just probably just a lame conspiracy theorist. You're a left-wing Alex Jones or a right-wing Alex Jones. You think similarly to him. That is not to say that there are no conspiracies whatsoever. On the contrary, I think that there are some genuine conspiracies. Just nothing that is so grand in scale. Probably something a little smaller, like maybe, I don't know, a couple generals in the military somewhere, or maybe a few cabinet members of a president decide that they should be the ones in charge, i.e. Ronald Reagan. So no worldwide conspiracies. That level of coordination and cooperation between people is just not possible. I mean, look at the EU. They barely get anything done. I mean, if such a conspiracy did exist, it probably would function a lot like the EU, which barely functions at all, which is why they use such despotic paramilitary tactics to keep the people in line with their ideas. If they didn't, they'd fall apart. That's just my opinion on the EU, though. Bottom line is, I suppose he didn't really believe in it. I think he just said the bit about the New World Order just to kind of appease that whole crowd. It's obvious he wants to set himself up as the image of a fairly benign ethno-nationalist who doesn't really intend to hurt anyone. He just wants to enforce the rights and values of his own people over those of, values of a foreigner. He's not going to be like these globalist politicians who care more about a foreigner than their own fucking people. And he wants to set a clear image, right? He wants to look like the good guy. But it's more than that. I think he truly is the good guy. And when you are the hero in the story, don't you think you should kind of look like the hero to inspire others? I mean, what's so wrong with that? Lead by example, man. Mind you, like I said, he's not throwing out all Middle Eastern immigrants. He's just going to be controlling the amount of immigrants that come in. Make sure that it's few in number so that their native population doesn't get overrun and replaced. This is what Germany should have done in World War II instead of going full Nazi. Never go full Nazi. That's all there is to that. Anyway.